Hey Gooby, you're now listening to Buddy Time. On today's episode, oh, look over there. Is that a bird? A plane? Oh hey, he's our very own cabin crew, Agung Baskara. Ready to turbocharge your day with us? Let's begin our voyage. Hello listeners. Today we have an exclusive guest with us that I've been trying to get onto this podcast since the very beginning of time. To me, this person, also our friend, he's a very talented person in my eyes. And today, he has graced us with his presence all the way from Qatar, flew here all the way just to take this episode with us. So I'm so honored to have him on our podcast. Bas, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Bas, and my full name is Agung Baskara, and I'm Indonesian. I'm 26 years old, and I spend most of my young adult life in Thailand. That's how I know Sin and Sony, because I've been living in Thailand for quite some time, which I always consider Thailand, land of smile, as my first home, then my own nationality home, which is Indonesian. Yeah, I started to move to Thailand when I was like 19, but it wasn't like permanent. It's just like a locum basis, which I just visiting Thailand sometimes. But at the end, I decided to move here and learn the language. So in total, I would say it like around 6 years. Yeah. And I feel like Thailand is my home because, you know, when you are considering something as a home, it's not about your passport, like where you're from, like what is your passport, or like what is your nationality. Because for me, a home is where you feel safe and where the place that you consider as something that you want to be with. So it's not always about your nationality, your race, or even your passport. So yeah, I love Thailand, the culture and the people.
I think the way that you put this is also, it's so special. That makes me wonder as well, like since the beginning, like when you're 19, what made you choose to come to Thailand?
A lot of considerations at the moment, because I was quite young. You know, when we were young, we were broke, dumb, or whatever. Yeah, I was considering Thailand to move a lot of things. For example, like if I moved to Australia, that time it cost a lot of money. It's not easy to live in Australia considering maybe a culture shock and anything. But it's also quite far from my home country if I want to see my mom. Then that time I was considering Thailand is the best option, considering of the financial and then culture. And it's not that far also if I just want to go back and see my mom. So that's the first thing that come up to my mind. Okay, let's just move to Thailand. But a lot of people want to move out from their country, but they just think about it. Okay, I want to move off to Australia. I want to move to USA. But they just think about it. For me, do it first. And whatever happen, just face it. So that's what I did. I moved to Thailand and just go with the flow. I learned the language because that's how you're actually connected to the local culture. If you at least knowing a little bit of the language, you don't have to be native as like them, but at least you get to know some sort of like basis of the basic of the language.
Is there anything particular during the 6-year stay that you had in Thailand that made you feel safe?
I would say like in terms of culture, there's nothing much different from Indonesia. Probably just like some foods like the herbs and anything. But why do I feel safe in Thailand? Because I really love like how the people here, they do their life. Like I see like they're very laid back of life. They not even really, for example, I when I did my internship here, everyone is very chill. I learned from one of my boss here, he's Thai. He was saying to me like, we're not alive to work, but we work to life. So that's a different things, because they were saying like if you are sick, you don't have to be like feel guilty to take sick and anything. And when I work in this company, starting the internship in Thailand, like I feel like I'm very connected to the local people, and they were very nice to me, and they don't see me as foreigners. And sometimes they just think me as a Thai person as well.
So when you first come here, because you mentioned about just do it, right? And go with the flow. Did you at least try to do some research before you come here? Did you even feel a slightest scare when you make that decision?
No. I feel, I'm not talking maybe for everyone, but what I see from our generations, like the millennial, they think a lot, but they never do it. I have a lot of friends saying that, oh, I want to move here, I want to have a new life, but they just say it, but no actions. For me, like what you said, like, did I do some research for Thailand? I did, because I went to Thailand for a holiday for quite some times. I think more than 5 times. That's why I was saying, like, it's like every time I have a quite a long 4 or 5 days holiday, I will flew to Thailand back then. So, I mean, even like from the holiday, you can just already did the research, how you see the country, how you see the culture, how you see the people towards you and everything. Even though but you have to live in that place to get to know, like, in details. Because when you're going for a holiday, it's different when you actually live there. So a lot of people maybe see Thailand as what, like, party, or like see Thailand as a place that, okay, we can drink everything and do everything, like a lot of freedoms. But yeah, because you are just doing holiday. But if you actually live there, you will get to know a lot of things that people don't know about Thailand. So when I moved to Thailand, no, I don't feel scared at all. I just did it, and then whatever happens, you just face it like in Thailand. And for me, it's better, like, you just do it and then stop thinking about it. This is also like a message for everyone. If you feel like you wanted to change something, don't think too much. Just do it, and everything just comes to you.
A lot of the lessons that we took from a lot of the past friends who came onto our podcast as well. I remember, let's say in episode 6, one of our guests, Radhika, said that, if you want to do something, if you have a goal in life, just do it. And episode 7, when Michelle came on, she said to us that, she's also, I would say that I relate to the story that you just said to me very much in terms of this courageous feeling of what Michelle in episode 7 shared, which she said that she also traveled around like different countries. And then when she decided to go and do something, she just went for it. And the attitude of like just doing it and not, sometimes I feel like not being afraid of the worst possible outcome. I would say that when people do that too, probably they don't have that in mind. They think of only like the positive things. So to me, it also brings back the concept of like manifestation. Like we're thinking about only the positive things and going forward for these things. And that's why in my eyes, I feel like you are going places to do the things that you also want to do in your life. Because really, Bas, like ever since I've known you, I feel like you are able to achieve a lot of the things in your life that you set up yourself to do. Because I remember you were just like, I'm going to find a job right after we finish our masters, and then you got the job. And then when you went to get this job as well, I remember the job was like really well paid or something like this, which is not a very easy thing to do as like a newly graduate, even more so I would say like as a foreigner, right? And after that, I believe that you moved, like you changed jobs again. Oh, I remember now. I think the first job you got was like Agoda or something like that. Was it?
Yes, yeah. That was actually...
do you want to just tell us about like your journey? Like that would be great.
My career journey, yeah, it's actually quite a lot of changing until now. So yeah, my first job, I had a full-time internship with Agoda, and I was working as a partner development. And then right after, actually before graduation, like 3 months before we finish our degree with Chula, I got a job from one of the company in Thailand. It's quite a huge company, and it was a research analyst. And I was consider myself as a lucky person because I got a job during COVID-19 where a lot of people got fired. So I was consider myself very, very lucky person. And again, it's about luck for me. I would say I was lucky person. I'm not the smartest student, but I always believe that there's a way for you. If you want something, just believe in it first, and there's a way you will get it eventually. So I got my first job, and I never worked in my home country before. So my first professional full-time job is in Thailand. So I got this job from one of our friends. She's also actually our Lumpi. She is one of our senior in Chulalongkorn in our Faculty of Communication and Arts. So she saw that I one of the students in the faculty, and she knows, how Chula students, like, they know that we are smart, we are diligent. So there is actually a kind, I always consider myself a lucky person. Like they were saying like, okay, we would like to have you in this company. So I did interview with them. And at first I was like, okay, they probably reject me because I didn't have a lot of experience. I just graduated from the faculty. But for me, I just believe, let's do it. If you get rejected, move on. And if you get a job, then yeah, that's lucky. So that's actually also related to my next job. Like I just do it, and whatever happens, just accept it.
You mentioned about your journey in terms of how you got connected with one of our senior, and then she kind of helped you with, your first job, and then, but for you, you also make the effort to apply for those jobs. And I believe you definitely have also prepare yourself, right, in order to get those jobs. Well, you consider yourself, you were not like a fully smart student, but then the way I hear it is you definitely knew how to present yourself in front of the people who are going to interview you. How did you, write your resume so that when those HR people screening through your resume, make them pick you for an interview? I think those are some helpful tips for the listener as well.
So I have some tips, especially if you're foreigners looking for a job. I will mention maybe specifically in Thailand. So first, confidence is the key. Like, okay, resume is important, of course, but I will not touch a lot about resume because probably mine is not even perfect as other people. But what I'm saying, like, if you want to make resume, just keep it as a short. Because I feel like the HR not even gonna look in details because they will find out about you when you're actually having the interview, either a one-on-one or like through a virtual interview. So just keep your resume as short as it is. You don't have to talk a lot as long as you mention what is your skill and what is you like, what are you good at, and then you also have to specifically tailor your resume. For example, if you are applying for a research analyst job, for example, but in resume you focus, let's say, for example, you were working for hospitality industry before, so you are mentioning about, okay, I focusing like serving customer, but you're applying a job, a research analyst, which focusing on details oriented. So at least you have to present yourself, like tailor your resume, depends on your job applications. So even though, like, for example, you want to apply like a numerical job, but in resume you are mentioning you're really good at customer service, greeting people, present yourself. So it's not something related to the job that you're applying. So the key for resume, keep it as short as it is, but you also have to mention some like a keywords that related to the job that you apply. So I think that's for resume. And like I mentioned before, the first thing that you have to be confident. For example, like I feel confident and people will not questioning or talk about it. So I feel like fake it till you make it, but eventually you have to get the basic. Like imagine like you're applying for a job that you are faking everything. And then when you're actually doing the job, you don't have that skill. That's also something that I'm not recommending. But I'm just trying to say, like, when you're presenting yourself, just be confident, because they don't even know if you're actually not having confidence. But that's very important key for applying job.
Since your journey kind of changes from working in one big firm to another big firm, and now you're also in another international firm, right? And I'm wondering, when you make the decision to switch company, what do you have in mind? Is this your life goal, or are you thinking of you just want to explore around first?
No, like my life goal is not working and have a lot of money. That's, I think, everyone's goal, no? Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, is it a dream job? Could be, but my dream job is not working and I'll have a lot of money. I think everyone does have the same dream. But yeah, I did quite change a lot of industry. Especially, recently I was working in the research analyst and I work for hospitality industry now. And I did change that with a lot of considerations, because, I love living in Thailand. I have a lot of friends in Thailand, more than even in my home country. So that's why I so like saying Thailand is like my first home. But when I decided to change the job, the first consideration is career growth and money-wise. Money is everything, especially like you are like now is financially independent. Like I could still see myself living in Thailand that time, continue with the job that I had. I love my boss. I love everyone in the company. I love them till now still. But I did change that because I need to get out from my comfort zone. If I was 40 or like 35, like I would like to settle down my life, I would love my previous job. Because it's like Monday to Friday. We didn't have like actual working hour. I would love just to be in that kind of job, because you really have like working life balance. See your friends, you never miss any party, you never miss any birthday. I love that job, but I feel like at this stage of my age, this is not something that I want. I would like to see myself growth, but I also make a promise to myself, like no matter I go somewhere or have a job in this world, whatever in the country is, I will back to Thailand one day. So this is what I promised to myself when I left Thailand last year. I was speaking to myself, I will find a job somewhere outside of Thailand, make a lot of money, do a career growth, make a lot of connections, that eventually I will be back one day.
Everybody wants like money. Money does help us and things like that. But if we put that aside, just you in your life, what is it that you're looking for by going all over the world and trying out all these different things?
So no, I came from third world country, which we know like it has a lot of issue with having a visa to visit countries. And this is the first thing that I consider to having my current job, working in one of the best airlines in the world. I came from the third world country, and I believe that working in this industry giving me more chance to see the world. And then you also opening your mind to see other people's culture. You learn a lot of things from new country, and you will try a lot of foods. You will see a lot of like events happening in every country in the world. For example, if I didn't have this job, I will never ever visit Russia or Moscow, for example. So having this kind of job is giving me the opportunity to see the world, not to mention that come back again, that you have already a weak passport to visit a lot of countries which require you to having a visa to go there. But now I don't have to worry about that because I can just go travel around the world without having issue with applying a visa. So that's the first thing. And traveling also one of my hobby. It's kind of like difficult at first because you have to be, settle down with all the new life pattern, leaving your friends behind. But I feel like I get to see more of my family, friends around the world when I have my new job, when I have my current job than before. I'm in happy place for now. Yeah. So my goal is actually for now, I of course we do have a long-term goals, but at the moment I just want to live in presence. I just want to live in the moment and enjoy the life, because I will also suggest or like recommend everyone's around my age, if you want to do something, do it now so you will not regret in the future, At least you get to think that in the future, okay, I've been there, done that, so you don't have that regret things.
First of all, I have to say that Bas, you said earlier that you consider yourself sort of like not the smartest kid, but I think that, well, maybe, yeah, I don't know. But after what I hear from your story, I think you are definitely intelligent in another way. For example, you know how to present yourself in order to get a really good job. You also know how to think in long term where you want to be in the future. I think what Bas share about just do it and don't be afraid, right? what I'm thinking is sometimes the fear that we have, the things that we're scared of, even though, we said we want to do this, but then our action is not there. Sometimes maybe it's not because we fear of the things that would happen. Maybe it's because we fear that we don't have the ability to face those circumstances. And to me, Bas, you are an example to me that shows you are brave enough to take care of any circumstances, even if those circumstances may be the bad ones. And I think that is probably the courage that we've been talking about as well. Like, have the courage to step out of the comfort zone, to try something new. But what exactly is that courage? To me right now, hearing from what Bas shared is probably the courage to face the circumstances, even if those are negative, and believe in ourselves that we will be able to find a solution to solve whatever bad things that could happen. And back to your new job, which is in like one of the top airlines. I think you mentioned one of the I believe what most people would be interested to apply for airline as well, which is you're able to travel around the world while you are making money as well. So how is that for you? Because we believe that this is also what a lot of the listener would be interested as well.
That's true. You get paid to travel. Who doesn't want? You get paid to travel. You see the world, and that's also something that you actually can open a lot of things in the future. For example, you've been thinking that you want to move to Canada, for example, Montreal, and you get to travel there, and it's not like only one time travel and you never going there anymore. It's like you probably will go there like more than 4 or 5 times, and that's where you can actually start to decide, okay, is this the country that I want to move? Is this like you actually somehow you can find a job in the country that you want to visit in the future? For example, like, okay, I want to settle down in this country. I love the culture. I love the food. So I'm saying like the encouragement, working in the airlines is giving a lot of opportunity. And of course, like there's also something that you have to sacrifice. Like I mentioned that you might miss your friend's birthday, you might miss your family's birthday party as well. But there is something that you have to sacrifice in order to get something. It's not like everything is perfect in this world. There is something that you have to sacrifice, and this is one of the job that I'm actually happy, and I can see myself like long term in this industry. And the things that I would like to suggest to everyone, that if you are still young and never ever said like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, it's like, no, the life is not stopped there, I feel like a lot of friends of mine, like maybe our junior, that they are worried about their future. They are worried about everything. It's like worrying about something is not taking you anywhere. You will just stop there, Like I worry about this, but if you're worried about something, you just there. You're not going anywhere. You stop in that moment. And it's actually also make that stop opportunity to come to you. So I will suggest to everyone, like those outside, like want to see the world, just apply the job. Yeah, I mean, it might not be easy at the first time, but you're also not afraid of rejection. That's the first thing that I want to say everyone, because a lot of people like they're scared of rejection from applying the job, from doing something. If you're scared of rejections, then you lose, because I'm saying that you get to try first, then whatever the result or the outcome, it comes later, because otherwise then you will never get to try, and then at the end you will be regret things that you never actually tried.
You mentioned about all these places that you get to visit as like a stewardess on this airline. Is there any particular place so far that you visited that you particularly enjoy?
That's a difficult question, actually, if you ask the crew about these questions, because every place that you have a different kind of favorite. For example, like I love to fly to Thailand because I get to see my friends I get to see Sony and Sin, and I get to see everyone's. But at the same time, like if it's a really difficult question for me though. If you want to ask me which one is my favorite, but I will say I will still mention Thailand, and then the second probably will be Amsterdam, and the third one I haven't decided yet. It's very difficult question for me because we get to fly to a lot of countries. Actually, I would probably say also Montreal for now. I love Walmart. I have a funny question that I went to Walmart. I just said, okay, I just want to look around. But at the end, I just lost time of track when I was visiting Walmart because it was my first time visiting Montreal. And I end up spend like $700. I don't know what did I put on my cart, but yeah, but I love Montreal.
What did you end up buying for $700?
A lot of unnecessary things. Because, I mean, if everyone's went, like if someone's been to Walmart, they have a lot of interesting stuff, like the blanket with warmer, a lot of like Disney things. Like I don't see this, a lot of things in the supermarket in the Southeast Asia, especially. When I get to visit Walmart, there's a lot of things that I love it and I end up just putting there. So this is one of the things that I'm saying that I'm very impulsive, but I can turn my impulsive becomes positive. Like I told you, like I keep changing my job. So I come back again to changing my career. I would say like impulsive is really something that a bad trait in myself, but how do you like convert your bad traits becomes positive? Because I'm a very impulsive person, if everyone knows about that. And I also can change the bad traits for myself to become positive by keep doing it without even thinking. Because sometimes, like, actually, it's not good enough if you do something without think about it first. But, for me, do it first, think later.
My aunt also used to teach me this, like, when I was younger, we used to go to night markets in Taiwan. And then my aunt would be like, she is also a very, very happy person because of this. She said to us, sometimes my parents would be like, you need to be more frugal when you need to think before you buy like certain things. But then I remember that night, my aunt specifically said to me, like, just buy it. Like, you like it, buy it first because it made you happy for a reason. Buy it, take it home. And if you don't like it, think about it later and ask yourself, why did you not like it? And then learn from that lesson. So it's sort of like, I'm not saying that this is the best rule for myself to go to, but I'm just saying that this is a way that that I've experienced and what my aunt said to me that made me reflect till today because I was very happy in the moment to get something.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like do it at your own risk because I'm very impulsive, but you got to find a way how to turn maybe a lot of people say impulsive is a bad thing, but you have to find a way how you turn this into a positive at some moment, because being impulsive is also actually good at some points. Like, for example, you are a person who keep worry, then you're not, like I mentioned, you're not going anywhere. But being impulsive is actually bringing you to something more, like bringing something to the new opportunity. But of course, there will be the risk about that. You could maybe happy with it, or you could end up questioning about your life. Like, oh, is it like something that I really want? Or is it something that I really want to do it for the long term? So that actually come back to my thought when I changed my career. Like, do I really want to do this kind of numerical for the whole of my life? Like, do I want to do this like for a long-term career growth? So there's thing that I also think a lot before I changing my career though. But I was just realizing that if I keep worrying about this, I don't live in the moment and I end up not going anywhere.
And speaking of having that free time to go to Walmart and exploring all these things, it brings me back to this thought of why, besides you being this very talented individual already, one of the reasons why I also wanted to invite you back and talk about this is because what Sin said, I find that a lot of the people around me who has a love for, going around the world and experiencing all these cultures, they all want to try out to be a air hostess or a stewardess. That's a lot of people's dreams, that I think of. But I feel like it's very important that from people like me who view this job from the outside, an outsider like me who doesn't know the career, what I see, you get to have a coach like pick you up right away from like airports. You go and then your hotel's already booked for you. You have an allowance. They give you all of these things on top of your salary. And then you get to visit the world. You get to see new things. So while this might all be true, I want to ask you sort of like, what are the levels of truth within this sort of like myth that circulates in like the society of this sort of job position? And, maybe you can share with us some of the pros and cons of being a stewardess.
I will confirm that is true. You're actually mentioning a lot of pros that having this job. That's actually totally true that we have all that kind of perks. We do have like some sort of like a princess treatment, I call it. Because you basically, they treat you very well and they book for you everything. So you just get to work when you're actually flying to that countries. So I'm always thinking like this way to also like some sort of like motivate myself. Okay, if I fly to, let's say, UK, and then before I get to London, I get to work first. So then it's like you are getting the present, like a present after you land to that country. But there's nothing comes free in this world, of course. So that's why that you get to work first, and then when you land, you can enjoy yourself in that country. And actually, like I told before, that you're mentioning all the perks, like having allowance, get to see the world, and not having sort of like a problem with visa and anything. Yeah, that's one of the perks of working in this kind of industry. But I also might mention some sort of cons. Like, for example, like you might feel lonely sometimes. This might be that I would like to highlight as well. You get to get used to eat alone because, maybe when you land to one country, not everyone wants to going out. Maybe one of our colleagues been there for like more than 10 times. They probably just want to land and then sleep till come back to our base. But when you are someone who just been to that country for the first time, of course you want to go out and explore the country. So yeah, I mean, maybe the cons, you have to get used to be by yourself, having kind of like your own me time, and don't ever like feel lonely. Like we do feel lonely sometimes, but this is part of the job. You have to acknowledge that you get to, have your own time and then eat alone, spend time alone. It's not really a bad thing, actually, but maybe some of colleagues or us might think it as of a, as a con of the job. And another cons, maybe it's quite difficult to arrange yourself a schedule to meet your friends or colleagues because you are actually working on the like roster base and shift schedule. So I think that's the thing. And yeah, for me, when you're thinking about cons, it's quite difficult because as of myself, I'm quite a positive person. So when I get to think of positive things about something, I could think a lot of it. But when someone asks me, what will be the cons of this, or cons to move there, or cons of this job, it's quite difficult for me to think about negative. But what I will highlight the most, when I can think very quick about a negative of doing something, it means like actually in its top of mind. Yeah, but apart from, I said, like sometimes you being lonely, maybe the other cons, like you have to get used to a different kind of sleep pattern. Yeah, maybe some people like have a trouble in sleeping, but for myself, I'm quite easy to sleep. I can sleep anywhere, everywhere, anytime without having problem. So I think this is one of the things that I have no issue with having this job because I don't have problem with the jet lag, different time zone. Yeah, but of course you have to get used to it.
Speaking of like sleeping patterns and having to adapt yourself to all the time changes and all the places that you fly to, what do you think about like your health in terms of like overall working in this industry? Like I know that you are an easy sleeper, as you said, but have you ever felt like you have to compromise a lot of your health because of these like, time changes, food changes, weather changes, all these things?
When I off duty, I always promise to myself to go to the gym. I don't have to work like a lot, but at least I get to spend like 15 to 30 minutes at the gym. And not to mention, I love to walk. So It's up for me. It's kind of like it depends on how you manage yourself, to be fit. Because might be some people they don't like to go to gym, but they do really concerned of the food that they eat. But for me, I love to eat any kind of food. Like I would love to try any foods. So I probably will not say that I do like a healthy, like well-balanced diet, because that's lie. Definitely, because I get to eat everything. So how do I keep myself fit? I have a lot of vitamins, basically, like the basic one, like vitamin C, zinc, like multivitamins, because I feel like this is very important, and you have to invest on yourself. Like, yes, you have to work, but don't forget about of your well-being as well. And I will consider myself as a person who really take care of my health, that I probably every 5-6 months I will do like a full checkup of myself. I actually have a fun story that when I was living in Thailand, like I got to test something that actually not a young people does it before. So even the hospital was asking me, I did in one of hospital in Thailand, they were asking me like, are you sure you want to do this test? Like, how old are you? And I was like, oh, I'm 24. Like, really? But I don't think you're required to do this test. But I said, yeah, but I want to.
Do you know what that test was?
I was doing like a cardio, like heart vascular thing, and then also the lung, because it was post-COVID-19. Like, I think like 1 year after post-COVID-19. But I'm really want to know like about my well-being. Not a lot of like young people now care about this though. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it's also not like something I will consider cheap, because this is not covered by your insurance, because this is something that you are paying by your own, because you want to know your health, right? So I feel like not a lot of like young people nowadays will spend this much of money to just doing something kind of test that you're supposed not to do on your age. But I insist to the hospital that I want to know. Yeah, I know I'm 24, but let's just do it. I did all the cardiovascular tests to know how your heart works and how your lungs works. And the doctor I remember it was quite funny, because after I did all the tests, I met the doctor. She looked at my results and she did say like this, you know what? We found nothing. We found nothing.
You found nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong. Yeah. See, because it's actually a lot of tests though. And I cannot remember how much was it, but I think it's more than 10,000 baht. And this is something that usually like above 45 age that will do this test. But I just want to know.
I think that's nice that you wanted to just to make sure. I think I really agree with you. And I feel like, sometimes, with my insurance as well, I get like a yearly test for free. But sometimes I'm so busy, I forget to like even do that. And I feel like it's so important that we check on ourselves, check on our health, because if we don't have our health, we cannot do anything else in our life. And that's one of the most important thing to have, right? And speaking of health as well, and like in this topic of like, what you mentioned about this job that you have in the airlines, that it sometimes can get very lonely. I'm wondering, what about the aspects of romance in your life? Like, because it's such a, like, it's like you describe it as such a lonely job with a lot of like, changes in all these dietary and like all these time zone differences, and friends and roommates not even meeting each other. Like, what are your thoughts on like romance in this case? Like, is it possible in this sort of industry? Can people who are in love, work in this industry and still maintain this?
Well, I probably am not speaking to myself, because I do not have experience during having this job, but I probably will speak on behalf of my colleagues that actually they do have a romance life still. Yeah. And yeah, they do. And we can do that actually. But the thing is, like, you have to spend your time with your partner, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend. And I feel like having this job might be quite difficult at the first time. Especially like, I mentioned that we work on shift schedule. I would like I say, like, we still have a chance to have a romance life. It's just how do you manage your own life? How do you manage everything? But you also get to put yourself first. For example, like you need to have a lot of rest, and then your partner must understand about this. Then yeah, definitely, even though you work in this kind of industry, you still do have a chance to have a romance life for sure. Might be quite difficult for some people, but if you do have a commitment about it, you can just get away with it with any kind of work. Yeah.
My main takeaway is that if you really want to work in this airline job and also be successful and come out with positive outcomes of this particular job, you have to be someone who's particularly good at managing your time and managing your life. Because with all these things, I feel like if you go into this job not being a person who can manage your own time well, like you do, I feel like the whole story would be very different. Like they could ruin relationships, they could ruin their own health, they could ruin everything and come out with actually, yes, you get to travel the world, get to see everything, but what is left in your life? Like you have nobody, your lover's gone and your health is deteriorating. And, not to be morbid, I feel like sometimes I get very morbid on this podcast, but what you've said is like, this is my big takeaway as well. Like time management is so important in terms of working in this industry.
Totally agree with it. Even the industry itself, it's required on-time performance. Like you have specifically like reporting time and sort of like you have to be on time, because if you don't have a really good time management, then your life is done. Because basically it's all about on-time performance. Yeah.
What do you think is the hardest thing being as a steward or cabin crew?
We get to meet a different people every day. And I'm lucky myself that I can quite adaptable to when I meet a new person. I think the most difficult thing is like you have to handle different kind of attitude, different kind of culture, because everyone comes from different world. Let's, for example, like when you meet this person, maybe this type of attitude or type of the work culture applies to them. But when you meet another person that comes from different culture and background, then you cannot use it will not fit one template to other template, because everyone comes from different background. So the most difficult thing is like, how do you handle these situations when it's relating like something new, like you don't know this person's culture? But it's all about communication. So I feel like communication is important, like regardless like where you come from, what is your culture. If you have a clear communications and you can keep yourself being calm at that situation, you will get away with everything in this world. So for example, like I get to meet a person who like actually quite demanding, then you have to find a way how to you can communicate with these persons, and you have to be calm. So being calm is something that I will say for everyone's having a job, especially in customer in the, centric industry. Being calm is very important, because if you are also starting to being panic, then your life is done as well. Because you get to smile, you get just, even though there's a lot of things on your mind, just keep smile and you will get away with it.
Where do you find yourself in terms of age, in terms of all the other colleagues that you work with? Are you like in the younger spectrum of the workers, or are you like in the middle?
I'd say in the middle, yeah, because we do have more younger than my age. Like that's probably their first job as well. But for me, this is my second job. So yeah, I will say I'm on the middle group. But it's very easy for me to adaptable and to talk with different kind of age. You cannot talk the same way with older people, your same age, or your junior. There's a way that you have to talk to them in different kind of manner, for sure. And I get to learn this when I was living in Thailand. So when we will live in Thailand, you cannot just call someone by their name, like someone's older than you. So that's the thing that I learned like from the previous job in the Thailand. I get to see improvement a lot in my communications, and not to mention having the degree, because a lot of people are saying like, oh, I studied for nothing. Like, for example, like, okay, I get a friend. This is another story, like works. She got her degree in doctor. And then she did apply a different kind of industry, totally different. She didn't even use her doctor license. And a lot of people saying, oh, why did you study like for nothing? You waste of money. So I believe this is what also my father said. When you study something, don't ever think that it's useless. Like, oh, I don't use my degree for this. Because I believe whatever you did, you get to learn something from that degree though. For example, like we learn, like communication and arts. And I really believe that I did improve a lot of my communication skill when we did that degree with, Chula.
Shout out to July.
Yeah. Like we get to do like a lot of presentations. We got to do a lot of like public speaking. And that's something that actually I learned, how you present yourself. Yeah. So never ever think that you learn something and they feel like there's nothing that you can use or practice from your previous degree. Yeah, there's always something that you learn, but sometimes you just not realize that the capability that you had. Yeah.
One last question for all of us. Where would you like to go if you can fly anywhere for free?
I would love to visit. Still, it's quite a difficult question. I want to visit everywhere in the world, but New York probably. I haven't been to New York. I would love to go there.
Dreams in theater.
I know it might not be an easy flight. It's a very long flight, but I would love to see New York. It's a very difficult question. Maybe at this moment I would love to visit New York, but maybe tomorrow I will change my mind again that I would love to visit maybe somewhere in South Africa, like Cape Town.
For me, there's two countries that I really want to visit. One is Switzerland. Another one is Finland. Switzerland because, actually I've been to Geneva. And Geneva was a really lovely place in terms of, seeing all the brand name watches being produced. I love mechanic watch. So it was nice for me to visit Geneva, one of the most well-known places to produce mechanic watches. Not to mention some of those brands are really the brands that I really want to, have a whole collection of for the mechanic watches. So it was nice. But there's another part of Switzerland that I really want to visit, which is the other part that has more greenery, sceneries. And I remember seeing on Instagram that there's this like trail stuff, not really trail, like a sort of like a roller coaster, but not really a roller coaster. It's like a cart where you can just ride on from the mountain, and then this cart will just slowly go down the mountain, the hills, and then you get to, enjoy all the scenery and the views. And it's just the views there are so pretty. I mean, I haven't seen it in my own eyes yet, but just from the video itself, they're really something that I really want to see. And also, I actually also want to go to Switzerland to try paragliding. Maybe not many people know this, but I am extreme sport fans. I really love to play, extreme sports, for example, like skydiving, bungee jump. I've already, checked the box for like skydiving, zip line, those kind of thing. But I'm really waiting for Switzerland so that I can enjoy paragliding in Switzerland. I can imagine myself flying down the hills from, the mountains of Switzerland, and then you get to see all the sceneries in Switzerland. I think that fulfills all the dreams that I have. So yes, Switzerland. Oh, not to mention cheese lover, cheese hot pot from Switzerland is a must. And the second one is Finland. Finland because I just really want to visit the Santa Claus town. I also want to see Aurora. These two places, hopefully in the near future I want to visit these places with my partner. So yeah.
This is Sin. marketing herself out there. So for all the listeners, she's single.
At the moment.
Her partner must be lucky. She will bring you to Switzerland
Yes.
And Finland.
We can do paragliding together.
Yeah, and just to share my part as well very quickly. For me, I would say that if I were to choose, like at the very moment, I would like to go anywhere that I can go scuba diving, because scuba diving is so expensive and it takes so much time. If I can get this chance to travel anywhere in the world to go scuba diving, I would take this chance to go do that. Maldives is in my plans. I really want to go to Maldives to scuba dive. But then if the whole trip is like all inclusive, I would choose somewhere more remote to like dive. I think that would be so much cooler. In a way, even though I'm not like Sin, who paraglide, I would like scream. Even though I'm not like Sin like that, but I would consider myself also into, if you consider your scuba diving a extreme sport to a certain level, I would say that I'd love to try diving with the whales or something like that. I think that would be so magical. And just to wrap this episode up, I'd like to also thank Bas from flying all the way from Qatar, all the way here to share us all the wisdom and all the insights that you have about your experiences in your life. I really appreciate hearing all the stories that you have to share. And I'm sure that the listeners will also take so much away, as much as I did from this episode. So do you have any last thing you want to say to our listeners?
I want to say thank you for having me as well. I feel so lucky that I got the chance to share my story, and I hope that it could be inspiration for all young people outside there that still worry about their life. Don't worry too much. You get going nowhere if you just get to worry. So just living in the moment and then just do it. So yeah, again, thank you for having me.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Don't worry, be happy.
Be happy.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Buddy Time. We're thrilled to have taken you on a brief journey around the world with our guest speaker today. Have you ever wondered where in this vast universe you'd like to explore if you were given an all-inclusive fare? We'll see you again in our next episode. Until then, take care.